At any point during this time, did you look at this and say, this is beyond strange?
To be honest, I didn't think it was real because we had been talking about it.
Did you hear that? That's probably the most important part of this entire interview. She did not think it was real. She did not think that it was going to happen.
How do you plead to the Class A felony of murder in the second degree?
Guilty.
Should you be in this prison?
To be honest, I have complicated feelings about that. I believe firmly that no matter what, murder is not okay.
She does not answer the question, and she cannot even say the word murder. She said Murray. Listen closely.
Murder is not okay. I believe I deserve as many years as I got.
She does not believe that she deserves as many years as she has gotten. She believes she deserves a lot less. Like a few months.
Your mother is dead.
She is.
I'm sorry I keep interrupting, but notice how her behavior is really sending the message. I am so innocent. I do not deserve to be here. I am that sweet little innocent girl that just cannot do it.
And she was murdered.
Yes, sir.
And you were involved.
I was.
But for you initiating this sequence of events, she would still be alive.
Yes, sir.
So in that sense, you are responsible for her death.
Yes, sir.
When she's interviewed by Dr. Phil, she accepts full responsibility and says, yes, I am responsible. If it wasn't for me, she wouldn't be dead. But then in a later interview, she said, well, but I didn't do it. Coda John did it. So he is exactly where he is supposed to be. Like, what the hell? She is contradicting herself over and over again. And in her book, she is completely innocent. She does not take any responsibility. Zero. I'm telling you. Just read it.
I understand why it happened, and I don't believe that I'm in the right place.
She does not believe she's in the right place. Prison is not for her. And she does not deserve this, basically, is what it is.
To get the help that I need.
Why did you want your mother dead at the time?
At the time, I knew that I was being abused, but I didn't know exactly what kind of abuse it was. I just knew that I wasn't allowed to do a lot of things.
She was not allowed to do a lot of things. Well, most teenagers are not allowed to do a lot of things that they want. And you know that there are people who are being abused in the most horrible way, even worse than she has been through. If you look up satanic ritual abuse, that is like really extreme abuse. That's not what she has been through at all. There are people who have been locked up in their rooms forever. Mother beats them up every single day, not just sporadically, just like she says, but I mean every single day. Sexual abuse in the most horrible way. But that's not happened to her. And what I mean is that these people, when they come out of that, they mature. They don't decide to, oh well, you know what, let me just go ahead and kill my abuser. No, they don't do it. But that shows that she has not learned the morals and the things you need to know that this is not the way you do things. No, she learned the way of deceit and lies, and that you can get away with basically anything. If that's what you want, you can get everything out of people. That's what she learned.
And my mother was the reason. She would force me to be in a wheelchair.
Also remember, her mother did everything for her. She wanted the best for her. She got the most beautiful branded clothes. She got the most beautiful things, went to Disneyland, whatever. People don't get to do that with their children, even if they wanted to. They just don't have the funds. But she did all of that, not because Dee Dee wanted to go to Disneyland. No, because she wanted that for Gypsy. So it is also filled with very much love for Gypsy. Okay, there was deceit, financial, whatever. Munchausen, it's under debate if you ask me, but it is clear to us that there was love from Dee Dee's side.
And forced me to go to doctor's appointments that I didn't need. And I just wanted that life to stop. And I remember having a surgery done to my eyes.
That was the one condition that was real. She had a lazy eye and needed an operation.
They had to put a patch over my eyes.
And how old would you have been, you think?
Probably like 3 or 4.
She's now openly pretending that that is the Munchausen by proxy when it was needed. She had a lazy eye. You can look that up. But now she sits here and complains about that she had this operation.
Do you remember going to school?
I've never been to school.
Never got to go to kindergarten?
That's another obvious lie because she has been to school and it is documented in her book, which you can read.
No, sir.
Do you remember playing in the backyard with other children?
I played when I was younger with my cousins. As I got older, I wasn't allowed to have any more friends.
That is another obvious lie because later on in this interview, somewhere at the end, she will say, I made a new friend. So how could she make a new friend when she was not allowed to? She's contradicting herself in this interview.
Did you want to go play?
I did. I asked Mom if I could go play outside, make a friend, and she'd be like, it's too dangerous. I started having an inkling when I turned 19.
So the question was, do you know that you were abused, that there was something wrong? And then she said, well, I had an inkling when she was 19. So she says that she, in the entire time upon her age of 19, she had absolutely no idea that there was something wrong. Is that believable to you? Just asking for your opinion. Leave a comment.
And I had made a friend, Aaliyah. She was our next door neighbor.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it was not at the end. It was exactly at this point where she contradicted herself. And yes, she made a friend, Aaliyah, but then again said that her mother was too strict to allow her to have friends. So, what the hell?
Her scary voice, and he would talk about how he wanted to kill me and how he wanted to rape me.
Yes, this is another act of her trying to get the sympathy out of Dr. Phil and the audience, saying that he was such an evil, evil, evil bad man who wanted to kill me and rape me, but absolutely forgetting to say that they were participating in BDSM, and BDSM is all about submission, dominance, and all that stuff, sadomasochism, which is to put the other person down for sexual pleasure or not. I made a video that breaks the entire thing down. You can just watch that. It is in my playlist of Gypsy Rose Blanchard's Lies, the rabbit hole of deceit. That's exactly what happens. To say I want to rape you, bitch, is what sadomasochism is all about, and it is role play. It is not meant to be acted out in real life. She completely forgets to say that they were participating in that fantasy.
But you wanted to meet him.
And as we can see, it completely worked because Dr. Phil looked at her scared, saying, and you wanted to meet him? This evil, evil man.
Taken those papers and the Medicaid card that I found, and I ran away from home.
There's no evidence of it, but Nicholas Godejohn said that this was also the point where she tried to kill her mother. The second time, before was the one with the BB gun, which did not work.
Didn't get very far because she found me pretty quickly and took me back home.
What happened when you got home?
She smashed my laptop.
How did she smash it?
It was a hammer. And she told me if I was to contact anybody, any of her friends, and tell them that she would take a hammer to my fingers next time.
And please mind you, in this entire interview, she completely forgets to say that she really, really loved this evil, evil man. And she even wanted to wear a wedding ring, represent their love.
He said that he was psychic and that he had these premonitions. He thought that he was a 500-year-old vampire.
And that she was Demona and Ruby, the evil side of her that loves gore, violence, and does not care any bit about the police. So, of course, she's not gonna say that.
Named Victor.
Look at her expression. It tells us, oh my god, yes, that was the evil he was. I'm sorry, but I'm completely innocent, Dr. Phil. You gotta believe me.
500-year-old vampire.
Played along, I guess.
She did not play along, I guess. She was indulging in it, participating in it with all her might, and really enjoying it. Because otherwise she would not be there to talk to him. You cannot participate in BDSM, being put down, called names, right? Being used for dominant and submissive roles. And then when you break up with this person, say, he abused me. That's not the way it works. You participated in the role play, you liked it, you enjoyed it, you are a mature woman, and you go back. So that means that you are liking what is happening. So, leave a comment, tell me what you think.
You didn't believe it? Or did you?
I think a part of me did believe it at the time.
You did believe he was a 500-year-old vampire? named Victor living in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
Of course she believed it, because she believed that she was Demona and Ruby and Kitty and Candy, so of course.
What else did he talk about that was less tame than that he was a psychic?
He had multiple personalities.
I'll just play her part. I had multiple personalities also. I was Ruby, Kitty, Demona for him.
Victor was only one of them.
And Ruby was only one of mine, which was the evil bitch who wanted gore and violence and introduced him to the entire thing.
He had other personalities.
And I had another personality also when I was Kitty, which is perfectly fine to play that role, but then to put the other one under the bus for everything and then introducing a man with disabilities into violence to act it out in real life is called a crime. You're supposed to be prosecuted for it. But did not happen, did it, Gypsy Rose?
That were much more violent.
Because I introduced him to do it in real life, and it was supposed to be a fantasy.
And scary.
Such as?
Such as he called him the Black One.
And mine was Ruby, the evil bitch of the underground.
He would just talk in this horrible, scary voice.
And I would talk in this super sweet voice, so it matched so good. That's why I stayed, because it felt so good. But then again, I fucking made him cry like a bitch in jail.
And he would talk about how he wanted to kill me.
And then I said, no, please don't do it. No, because that is what roleplay is all about, isn't it?
And how he wanted to rape me.
That is again a very common fantasy, rape fantasy. It is not meant to be acted out in real life. That's why we call it BDSM. And healthy BDSM is all about two willing participants, which is not abuse, mind you. Abuse is when the other one is not willing, but she was, and it is all documented in the text messages.
He said, I will kill you so bad they will never find your body.
But you wanted to meet him.
I did. I was in love with our...
She said she was in love with him, and then, oh shit, I thought I was in love with him, changing it very quickly, not to notice that it was all willing participation. She was the one who introduced him to do it in real life.
Thought I was in love with the good side of him. I was very, very naive back then. I never had a boyfriend. I didn't know a good relationship from a bad one.
Many people don't have boyfriends until they are older. Does not mean that you now get a free pass to introduce him to do it in real life.
All I ever knew of love was what my mother showed me.
Many people experience exactly the same thing. Don't receive any love at home. People hating their parents and being abused by them. There is a very, very, very small percentage that are now going to kill their parents because of this fact. I'm telling you. It is because she has learned the way of deceit.
All I ever knew of love was what my mother showed me.
Going to Disneyland, buy her branded clothes, and of course the abuse that Didi did. Don't forget that. She was abused.
There was pretty sexual content going back and forth.
Going back and forth. That means there are two willing participants who enjoy.
On the internet, right?
Yes, sir.
He was erotic role-playing.
Mm-hmm.
And you had alter egos as well, right?
I made alter egos to fit his.
Okay, like tell me about Little Kitty.
Little Kitty was kind of a little girl. I kind of based her looks off of anime cartoons.
You said it was based on his
personality.
So which one did that one go with?
That went with his little boy personality.
Oh, I'm sorry. What did I miss? I thought it went with Daddy. When he said, Daddy wants Kitty back. When she had another bipolar episode is what she said. When he said, you're scaring me. Are you going to have these outbursts when we are together, Gypsy? But of course she's not gonna tell Dr. Phil that, because it will completely destroy her narrative of her being the sweet little girl. What's up with that? Are you lying again? You naughty little girl.
And then there was Candy.
Mm-hmm.
What was that?
Candy was more of the vixen, more risque.
And that went with what?
That went with his, that personality that's more sexual.
And what about Ruby?
Ruby was for Victor.
Ruby was for the vampire.
Hmm.
So Ruby was evil.
Ruby was a werewolf, and she was the evil one.
That loved gore, violence, and was not afraid to cause mayhem and destruction.
Okay. So that goes on for quite some time, right?
Hmm.
When did you meet him for real?
In March of 2015.
Did you ask him to kill your mother?
Yes. We had thought of different ideas. We called it Plan B.
And when Nicholas goaded John insisted on not doing this but running away, I basically said, no, that's not what we are going to do. We are going to do what I say, and that is the plan.
I was getting desperate, and we bounced around that idea.
She bounced around that idea because it was her idea. She came up with it and manipulated Nicholas into doing it.
But did you ask him, quote, will you kill my mother for me?
I probably did, yes, sir.
There is no probably. Either you did or you didn't.
Now, you had some text exchanges that seemed to me that this Plan B was pretty much a collaborative process. On June 2nd, you send a text that says, I'm 100% in, hun. I'm ready, truly. He says, why you say that, baby? You say, because I've finally allowed myself to accept you're my everything. I will go with you and live our dream. So then on the 9th, you say, hun, does he require just the gloves and knife?
Which she stole and purchased everything. She even gave him money to go to her because he did not work, and she stole it from her mother.
When you're saying he to Nick, you're referring to his alter ego, Victor, right?
Yes, sir.
We now fast forward to that night, 8:36 p.m. You text, I left the gloves outside the front door and the screen door is squeaky. So try to open it just enough to get in and close it gentle. I'll hand him the knife and the duct tape inside, darling. It's pre-cut and ready. At any point during this time, did you look at this and say, this is beyond weird here. This is beyond weird here. I'm talking to a guy that's talking about himself in the third person. The third person's a 500-year-old vampire, and he's glad that my mother's a light sleeper so she'll be awake when he's hacking her to death.
And I am Ruby and Demona pretending to be this evil and malicious woman? What the hell is going on here?
I mean, even though at the time you felt like you wanted her dead, did you think this is beyond strange? This is beyond strange?
But I didn't hold a gun to his head.
At any point during this time, did you look at this and say, this is beyond strange?
To be honest, I didn't think it was real because we had been talking about it.
Did you hear that? That's probably the most important part of this entire interview. She did not think it was real. She did not think that it was going to happen. But this is so absolutely ridiculous and a complete and obvious lie, if you ask me. Someone who is complete in denial of what has happened and is not taking responsibility. Just saying that I did not think it was real.
For so long that I became numb to the idea, like, oh, okay, we're just having another conversation about it. We're not actually taking the steps to planning this, and this is going to happen.
This is beyond juvenile teens that are exploring the limits. This is criminal behavior.
Knife and the duct tape inside, darling. It's pre-cut and ready. At that point, you knew this was happening, right?
I just went through the motions. It didn't sink in until it was actually happening.
It didn't sink in. She was just going through the motions, but in her text messages we could say that it was a coping strategy. It was Ruby that helped her to get through this, and she was just trying to survive, meaning she was dissociating and in the process of creating huge and enormous trauma in her life. And the only way to get through it is to look at it and take your responsibility. And I don't think that we see any of it yet, as of 2024.
He says, baby, there's no other option. He's going to finish her no matter what. That is how he is. And you say, okay, darling, he is brave. I respect and admire that smiley face. But after we comfort each other, after we do that, sweetheart, I'll hold you like the baby girl of mine that you are.
As you can see, up until the last day of them being together, they showed love and affection towards each other. Make no mistake about it. They knew exactly what was going on, and their plan was to run away. Take any responsibility for her part.